Hola, hola. Buenas noches. Good night to everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me to give this talk. My name is Alejandro Mercado. I'm from Mexico. I am web and mobile developer, adding some DevOps tools under my belt. Very honored to be here to talk about this experiment that I made almost a year ago. Now it's about having some C++ code in web, something a little weird, I can say, but pretty fun. So thank you very much. Let's start. I'm going to share the the presentation. This article is on Medium. If anyone have interest in to read what I write, well, I write, of course, about web technologies and DevOps. So you can follow me on Medium. This article, as you may know, is Back to the Future from C++ to Angular. For me, it was like shock minding to figure out how can we do that. I mean, to have a real old C or C++ code, how can we handle it in a new framework like Angular, React, or this JavaScript state of the art frameworks? So that was the curious and what led me to write this article and to make this experiment. So maybe no. It depends of your age, but back to the old school days, I remember writing a lot of C and C++ as my primary language from a lot of school projects. As you may know, C and C++ is now to be a very powerful language. You have a lot of control with these languages, and with this control, it means performance. It's not. It's not casualty that a lot of engines uses C and C++ to make the games. No, for instance, Unity or Autodesk uses these game engines to make very faster applications. The render always to deal with graphs are in terms of memory are pretty exhaustive. So you need to have a lot of control to have to deal with the performance. It's like a must. So C and C++ are like the more powerful. I don't know if they're more powerful, but are better two languages to deal with that with graphs. So, but nowadays it sounds like a little weird to do web development with these languages, like C++, Prolog, Perl, and many other good languages that are not considered, or it was not by any chance idea to have this like as a web languages. So, but things changes, and maybe you have heard about WebAssembly. Maybe if not, there is a couple of links here where you can get the detail about what is this about. But the idea is to is this bridge, between these old languages and the web browser that is everywhere. So what's the deal? Well, um my first approach was to compile just a C code, so something very easy C code. So for that, we used WebAssembly using a tool called ECMAScripten. So ECMAScripten is an LLVM to JavaScript compiler. So that's what the magic. So that was the first step. The installation and setup instructions are detailed in the site, so you can click here to go directly to the specification. It's pretty neat. Well, just here I'm just verifying that everything is the Mac script and is already installed. Dash minus version. So because I was pretty sure that I already have it installed, I can do I after that I made my C codes, as you can see. If you remember your this is pretty basic, the hello world in C. You can use, of course, Notepad or Visual Studio Code or whatever you want. But to build the JavaScript version of this code, I simply specify the C or in this case it's C, but it can be both C or C++ file after the MCC. Use M++ to force the compilation as C++, no? As you can see here. So this is just the line. As you can see, it's pretty neat. So this way I can generate my files that are going to be my web files. As a result of this, I get two files, the A out.js and the A out wasp. The .wasp file is our WebAssembly compile code. And the other one, the JS, is our JavaScript file, which contains the runtime support to load and execute it. This is something like that, something I can say in LE level. So, well, this is our binary file. So, having that, when with all friend Node, we can run this out.js using Node, so I can get the output. In this case, the hello world is very simple. Yeah, just as you can see here, I just run with Node and I get the hello world. But it was like a very the aha moment. A very particular moment. Well, at least for me, to have this from C to JavaScript was like wow. Because it was like something. I was like joining something that I made 20 years ago with something that I am using nowadays. So because of that, I can start in a lot of possibilities. So that's why for me it was like a very happy moment. So to generate the HTML, because well, like in this example, is just the hello world, but to generate the HTML with Emacs script, we can generate the HTML output with something like that, with the output indicating the file, in this case hello.html. We can see, of course, we can see, or we need to see it in our browser. And for that, we need a web server. For this experiment, I find that a pretty easy way to do that was using the Python, the simple HTTP server. No, with just one line, you can get the Python server running. So well, but of course, you can use any server, web server that you want, and just open of course, in localhost in this port, the file, so you can see the output. Then the output, as I said, is pretty simple because it's just the hello world, but the potential is enormous. It's from here now. This is the starting point, because you can start doing a lot of crazy things, and this is where I get wild, because I remember in my when I was at college, I have this subject, this graphics programming 101. No, that we did a lot of these things about to draw different to draw and interact with different figures, no, to draw circles, donuts, toroids, and a lot of crazy things like this that you can see. And it was in this subject, in graphics programming 101. We used at that time, we used the SDLAP. That this was the simple direct media layer that was or is a cross-platform one, because it's still available. It's a cross-platform platform development library designed to provide low-level access to audio, keyboard, mouse, joystick, and graphics hardware. So via OpenGL and Direct3D, so we can not just draw things and move things and animate things, if not to interact. So we were opening like a whole world about games, about a lot of. I mean, it was the imagination. It was just the limit, no, with all these graphics and libraries. But as I wrote here, this exercise was made in 1997. I mean, 22 years ago. so the surprise is that it's still working. So well, we just some adjust, of course, to communicate with ones in WebAssembly, to communicate, but it's almost the same code. So as you can infer, at that time, we don't have Angular, we don't have React, we don't have Svelte or any Vue or any other fancy front-end framework. so well, that's the experiments that I was trying to accomplish with these new possibilities about WebAssembly. So since some other code, this was pure C. The following one is with C++. It's about a nice color cube no, also using this library that I already mentioned, the SDL. This is the sample direct media layer. The idea is just to write this cube, but with some gradients, and they move and change the faces. So well, as well, you can access the repo here if you want. If you are curious, this is the code is in GitHub. If anyone wants to replicate some of these exercises, you have available the documentation and the sources. Um, well, so the tricky part, or where I spent more time, of course, was between the communication. You have some language C code, but you have something in the middle, the WASP, that you want to communicate, or to try to make a JavaScript, or to work it in JavaScript. So with this CPP, C++ code, this is I'm not going to in detail to the code. This is C++. But I mean, if you want to try it, you have to take care of this kind of things, like how you are going to communicate. KMMX then provides a number of helper methods that make interactions between the module and JavaScript easier. And that's the whole idea, no? To take care and to be aware of these helper methods. And MM scripting includes a conditional compilation symbol. This is when you see this Eggman scripting like constant. You can use it to detect if the solution is being compiled by MX scripting. So you can take this is pretty helpful, no, to run your programs. So this is the idea. Well, this is like. I mean, it's a very basic explanation, because it can be pretty complex and deeper and deeper. But the idea was just to achieve some of these experiments, and to see if that is possible. So we have this external C block. In C++ function names, C++ function names can be overloaded. So to make sure the name is unique when compiled, this can happen. The compiler mangles the name by adding information to it about the function's parameters. No? The compiler changing the names of functions when the code is compiled is a problem for external code wanted to call a specific method, because that method name no longer exists. So this is the I can say the tricky part, or where you have to spend more time. But well, it's just in the documentation. So you want to tell the compiler not adjust the name of the methods that the JavaScript code will be called. To do this, you need to include an external C block around the methods. No, continue. It repeat the previous compilation steps. No, so, as you can see here. So this is like 10 feet, very high explanation about how to make this possible. Now this code running on JavaScript on a web browser. So as you can see, I have this color cube running on the browser. This is the output, and having this in the browser, to have it running in a framework is you are in the other side. It's not that easy, but I mean, it's JavaScript, and the idea nowadays about JavaScript is to have components, so you can have this component, this C code or C++ code in a component and use it in a Angular or React project. Yes, having MX scripting generate the HTML that we generate with MX scripting is not typically used for production, no? But that's like a first approach. It's pretty useful if you are learning about WebAssembly. That's the idea, no? As you may know, WebAssembly now is evolving too fast. We have a lot of programs, languages using WebAssembly. So WebAssembly, in my humble opinion, opens a fantastic and interesting new alternatives, and it's already supported in browsers. And one question that a lot of people ask me is about if WebAssembly is going to replace JavaScript. And no, the answer is no. WebAssembly doesn't replace JavaScript, but does expand the web, enables new hybrid WASP JavaScript designs. So you can see here the support, the WebAssembly support in the browsers. I don't know if this image is a little updated. We have to verify it, but well, it's evolving too fast. And the part of the Angular integration, well, with Angular integration, Angular per se, it's not that easy. It's not that easy framework. I guide you through the process. You have to make the project, to serve to see if the project is running like I showing here. So you can follow the whole article now to have it. And I create a component with the Angular cell command line interface, CLI. And creating the component, I just put it the already made code with C and WASP as a service. That was that everything I did. So it was just like, I don't know if I was cheating, but it was pretty easy. The word TCP could be located in the same folder, the one with the color cube CMS code, but just be sure that after compilation you get the files WebAssembly, and WebAssembly was inside the color cube folder, because I didn't have this couple of files, and I have a lot of time trying to figure out what it was not working. So well, taking consideration that, you can save a lot of time. Uh, well, a Mac script be like can include as a plumbing file in that HTML file if you want to go for this approach. Mm, it depends of how do you want to display the app. A JavaScript plumbing file is a JavaScript file that Emac scripting generates, and it can be in this different way. I don't like it, or it's not. I mean, you can generate with Angular the UI elements, but well, you can generate with Emacs scripting. It depends of what are you doing, and it's something like that. No? So well, this is basically the approach that how can I use this, I can say, all and powerful languages as a component in modern projects, in modern front-end projects, where I see the business cases is because a lot of this code, C++, or C code, the performance is better, is way better from JavaScript. So I'm pretty sure that we are going to see a lot of things like renders, games, that they are going to run in the browser pretty smoothly, and we are going to see a lot of hallucinant things, awesome things that well, we are seeing a lot of things with JavaScript, with in combination with this kind of technologies that are pretty good for something in particular. Well, this will be amazing. So I think that's why I don't think that JavaScript is going to disappear. It's going to be then they are going to complement with a lot of other technologies. Um, so well, this code is about how I'm including the component. This is just Angular. When the Angular side of the project, no, to include the WebAssembly, you can well take a look it in detail if you have time. So the idea is just to achieve the original example that was because there is another example. I have several examples here, but the idea was to accomplish this. This is the Angular component as a service. Well, it was loaded as a service, but this is the final result. No, the C++ code run in Angular. Yeah. So well, this is it. I hope that it gives you a lot of ideas of crazy things that you can achieve with this combination of technologies and with assembly. I have another article about this very quickly about. I want to show just in 2 minutes because it makes sense. It's about WebAssembly. Just 1 minute. Well, then, this is about about other about web components, and it's in Spanish. Sorry about that, but I just wanted to show that, like, the final part that is like a picture about if JavaScript is going to die. But I can't find it. Well, maybe I have to. It was pretty interesting because a lot of people think about this, about, well, there's going to be about a lot of new languages like um, C sharp with Blazor or Perl, or where there is a lot of new alternative, but JavaScript is going to stay there, and it's nothing is it's not going anywhere. Don't worry about it. But it's not in this. Sorry, my mistake. I think it was at the same presentation. So sorry because of that. But, well, you're going to see more and more of these examples with a lot of more, not just with C and C++, if not with Perl, Python, doing a lot of this kind of web development. So, well, uh, that's what I have to say. I just want to say thanks, and thank you very much for everything. If you want to grade me, well, let me see. Um, well, you have my. This is my Twitter. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.